What's happening, guys? I'm here to tell you about a great new premium offering we have from our bets guy, Keg. He has been crushing it so much with his live betting streams that we decided to spin off his Keg Cats into a premium feature.
The first 5 shows, we were profitable, all 5 shows. The show was up like 15 units about, and, I crush.
Subscribe today for just $10 a week and gain access to all of Keg's live betting streams covering tons of sports, including the NFL playoffs, MMA betting every week, PGA, March Madness, the NBA, and NASCAR. Last season, Keg and the crew crushed in NASCAR with cashes in over 30 races for well over 130 units of live profit.
Put it on the boy for your boy Keg to get Blaney home at 14-1. Put it on the board for your guy Keg to get that Larson top 5 plus 105 home. Let's go!
Learn how to live bet and tail Keg and his crew with this amazing subscription offering. Also included is access into an exclusive Discord channel reserved for Keg's subscribers. Last reminder that it's only $10 a week, so get on board today with Keg and keep running pure.
What is up, everybody? Happy Monday. Not the big usual Monday slate we have. Only 4 games today. Tuesday, tomorrow is a really big slate, so you guys will have to tackle that. But 4 games, be able to talk some football, recap the weekend. If you guys got questions in chat, I'll be able to answer some probably. But joined by my 2 boys, Hoop, Mangone. And then I see, before I get to anyone, Shannon Thomas said, Big T, thanks for the Gabe Davis call yesterday. Talk about nuclear. Hoop, I thought Gabe Davis was the rich parents play of the day. Maybe Big T talked him up too, a couple people, but I thought it was the rich parents play of the day. So talk about Gabe Davis and the story you shared pre-show, because I didn't know about it. I don't think many people did know about it, but talk about the story. It was a good one. It wasn't carpet, guys. Don't worry. Not asking for carpet stories.
No carpet stories. It's a sweat story. But Gabe Davis was the rich parents play of the day. The rich parents play of the day has been on fire. So you're going to want to make sure you get the likes up so you guys can have access to the rich parents play of the day. Big T was on Gabe Davis, but not his play of the day. I mean, that's the thing. When you work at Run Pure Sports, that comes with the territory. You can make some good calls. You can make some bold predictions. And when they come true, Big T gets all the credit. That's some of the bullshit that comes along with it. But that was, Gabe Davis was the rich parents play of the day. I played him a ton, obviously had a sweat in the Millie Maker last night after he caught that touchdown in the fourth quarter, put me into first. Really just needed a stop from the Bills defense, and I would have shipped it. And then obviously Tyreek caught that ball, and just went chaotic. So it didn't go as I planned. Didn't win the Millie. Had a good weekend. We move on, and we got NBA, and then the games next weekend. But it's a great weekend overall. I mean, PGA's been on fire. The MMA was very entertaining. I mean, great start to the MMA season in terms of just the just watching entertainment standpoint. Your boy Cyril Gain, man, like what the fuck was that? I mean, honestly, like the dude, like no power in anything he threw. Like he was kicking, but he's like tapping them. Like, I'm relatively new to UFC. That was like a disappointing performance.
Yeah, it looked like he gassed, to be honest, pretty early. Like Francis was like tired. It was really clear that he was tired early after the first round, the second round, third round. But I noticed in the second round, and then it kept carrying over. But Cyril Gahn looked tired, more tired, and no stamina than he's ever looked in the past. I think a lot of it, obviously late, but Francis just got wearing on him. And the weight difference, like he just made him carry. Francis was so much bigger in the cage than he was at stare downs. But Gahn gassed, and he just didn't have it. I mean, he easily could have won that fight. Like the prime Gahn that we're used to seeing at distance, throwing 130. He would have won that fight at distance, but he was tired, it looked like. Yeah,
he wasn't, just nothing behind what he was throwing. But, I mean, the NFL weekend, I mean, it has to be, like, the best weekend of NFL football ever. I mean, every single game right down to the wire, and then the culmination with that that Chiefs Bills game, which for me personally, I've watched a ton of football. That's by far the best football game I've ever watched. When you consider what's on the line, you consider some of those plays, just absolutely awesome. I mean, the NFL just crushing it overall, and you love to see it. And got 3 more games, and going to be a lot of fun. So looking forward to this weekend, those games on Sunday, and Run Pier off to a good start overall this year. Going to keep running hot here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was every game came down to the last play. Like, it was a 1-possession game. Yeah. I love how the extra team in the playoffs, the one bye. I love it because the first weekend, it's the first year. We'll see how it goes, but I expect the same trend kind of. The first weekend, better teams beat up on bad teams, and we know them. I think there's a lot of money to be made on them. But these divisional rounds, I think these were the best teams in the NFL this week, and we got the games.
And then the other thing to talk about, I guess easy for me, I was on the right side of every game from a betting standpoint, but those Wong teasers, man, have just literally printed. For like 5 or 6 weeks now, every single playoff Wong combination has hit. And, Big T talks about them a ton. I've been following them super closely. They literally printed all weekend. We talked about it yesterday. The final straw would have been the Bills plus the 7.5, which ended up printing. But like Big T said, you could create that nice little window where if the Chiefs win by less than 7.5, you double dip. And that's exactly what happened last night. So, those Wongs, something to certainly follow.
Yeah, for sure. Big T had the middle too. Everything, the bet side, you guys called pretty much every game this weekend. Fortunately, the Packers didn't get it done for me, but definitely a print fest over here. Run Pure Bets, Run Pure Sports. It's been good. We got Anchor and Chad saying, Mangone just chilling. Mangone, it's time to bring you in. You have been chilling a little bit, waiting for your turn. How was your NFL Saturday, your NFL Sunday? There's no college football, so what are you doing on Saturday? Oh, golf? Is golf the new Saturday thing if there's no football, since you're not in the MMA streets really? So talk to the people, let them know what's going on.
Well, we of course NBA, right? I was grinding more NBA for sure. Dude, that Packers game was awful. Like, that game was not a good football game. Like, I refuse to let everyone include that in the best football weekend ever. Like, exclude that game. It was horrible.
Yeah, but
I think even not as a Packers fan, I think that game was awful. Like, both teams were embarrassing. I don't think no team should advance. Let the Rams just go on to the next round. Like, let them get a bye. I didn't get to watch the Bucks game, but I saw the tail end, which was awesome. Got to see Leo, and then Bills and Chiefs was awesome as well. What'd you guys think of the Titans Bengals game? Because I had a different opinion on it. I thought like the Titans really that defense should have absolutely gotten the win. Like, when you get 9 sacks as a defense, that's just ridiculous. They didn't get a W, but Tannehill threw 3 interceptions. Things happen, but overall fun weekend. We get Bengals and Chiefs next week. It's like a run back from what we saw earlier in the year. And I'm not excited for Rams and Niners though. I'm way more excited for Bengals and Chiefs. I don't know about you guys.
I think that's probably the public consensus. I'm definitely Mahomes, Burrow, they're 54 total. Definitely should be fun. But it's still, yes, we're salty, but we're a little salty Packer fans, man. Going now, we're sad we get to watch.
But I'm not even salty about it. I don't think either team was that good. Like, it was just not a good, I don't know. I know some people like a good defensive battle, a little snow football. I hate when snow football decides stuff. Like, we're in the last, we have the best of the best, right? Put them all in domes. We shouldn't have it that way. But
I agree. I actually agree with that. I know a lot of these teams like their home field advantage and stuff, but once you get to the playoffs, it should just be, I almost say, especially when it's down to the game starting last week in the divisional round, how sweet would it be if it was just at one location,
bubble,
a game. Yeah. Exactly. Seriously, just let them play it out, neutral environment, and let's roll. The weather stuff does annoy me because obviously, it just makes things a little more unpredictable. No excuse for the Packers. I personally think they should have beat the hell out of the Niners. Just couldn't get anything going at all. It was just a weird second half, just a very and that's what the Niners want. They want games like that. The Packers let them into that situation. And the thing that with Aaron Rodgers, which I don't understand, was his reluctancy to go to anybody else besides Devontae Adams. He had a great connection with Lazard for the last, 3 or 4 weeks of the season. They had a phenomenal connection. He wouldn't look to him. You got to get some of those other guys involved. The only real offensive play was that deep ball to Aaron Jones, which was on broken coverage. It just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's it's just like, imagine you have like a venue where you can go to, and then like during the week, like you could stay the week and like you could watch like the practices. Yes, exactly. Like it would be really cool. I just think it's like it's similar to March Madness. You do it, you don't have to do it maybe for the wild card weekend, maybe for the one after, but I just think it would be better. And like someone in this chat's like, oh, like a mad Packers fan, dude, like my fandom died a while ago. Like I get excited for the playoff games here and there, but like, I don't care if the Packers like win like week 14 of the regular season or something like that. Like, I'm not going to like be upset if like they lost like their one game. Like, it is unfortunate. I think it's the saddest part about the whole like Rodgers thing title, obviously both being Packers fans, like it could be the end of an era, right? Like, I mean, you don't know if you're going to see him play in a Packers uniform again. So I hope if he does go somewhere, I hope it's somewhere where he has a chance to win for sure. But I'm excited for next week to see what happens between Chiefs and Bengals. And I think I'm going to root on whoever wins that game for the most part. I think that's my lean right now, but we'll have to see. I do have that Rams ticket. I'm like Hoop. Like, I'm not really rooting on the Rams, but I got a ticket. It's like, I have
you got to root on now.
Financially invested. I mean, you got to root for the financial investment, especially with all the markets right now. You got to be rooting on any financial long-term investment that you have.
I will say I'm not having trouble waking up the next morning because the Packers lost. I'm having trouble waking up the next morning because of the market. Ooh, it is not good out there for us.
I didn't know Hoop was a 65K. Thankfully, I got out, I think, at like 50 for a little bit. I timed for once. I timed something a little right, but hey, Mark will be back up, Hoop. But I didn't hear the 65K story, man. I've been
it's not. I have been super reluctant to get into like the crypto streets, and I didn't put like a ton in it or anything. Not like life-changing money.
Just the timing.
Yeah. So like one of my first I bought some of those bullshit NFTs and all that crap, but first time really digging in and putting a substantial amount in Bitcoin, and it was like 65. Actually, it was the weekend. In Dallas, when I was in Dallas, that was the first time I bought. It was like 60 some K.
I got a good story for you. So it's kind of like you mushing. Like my mom, she got her bonus for the year, and she's like, I'm gonna put my bonus in this, blah blah blah. What should I put it in? And I basically said like, I don't know when the right time's going to be, right? Like it could easily tank now, but like I should have just said, listen, since you're thinking of getting in, this is clearly the time it's about to tank. Like you are the person. Like it's like when everyone's talking deep brain on the RG shows, remember? Like it was the time when it was probably going to tank. So
that was costly too. I was top of the market.
I should have pulled out, but I felt bad pulling out as my mom was like putting stuff in. I was like, I just can't. Like, it's like I tell her to like put it in, but I was going to tell her to wait even longer, but I just didn't know. I was like, oh, she's going to be mad if it goes up a little bit more. She's holding for a while. So just put it in there and don't look at the account.
I think it does eventually come back. I mean, but like, I think it's just the overall mindset.
This is not financial advice.
Not financial advice. I just think it's the overall mindset of the country right now. Like everything's just like, down.
More money is in this world that can be.
Yeah, it's just not an exciting time for everyone. Everyone's like, "Fuck this! I'm out of everything" type thing. Yeah. Hopefully, it all turns around. I mean, all right. If we keep talking, it's going to get political, and I don't want to piss anyone off.
Yeah, we're not getting it. We're not getting all the.
One last thing, Hoop. It'll turn it around. Bring back League of Legends and KBO.
Oh man,
Madden streams. That's what we need to turn everything around.
But those were the days.
Poker, push-ups, betting tens of thousands of dollars on a guy doing push-ups, like that was fun too. There's someone in the Discord chat earlier is like, my wife still yells at me for sitting around all day and betting money on a guy doing push-ups. Like that was like such a great, unique day.
No, there are a lot of bad, obviously, with COVID, but you got to try and take the good things out of life. A lot of fun experiences that I never would have stayed up till 4 a.m. playing League of Legends, sweating it out, waking up early, like. Yeah, but no, that's enough crypto. We're just having fun. 4 games we can talk about. Someone in the chat was talking earlier about Devontae being a free agent now. I assume he's going to get franchise tags. So I hope Rodgers comes back, and that's the thing I keep telling myself. I'm like, Devontae should get tagged. I'm assuming he does. Rodgers got to play with his man 17 because, I mean, after we saw yesterday, like if he can't throw to anybody else, even though he had a good connection with Lazard, what's going to happen if 17's not by him? So hope Rodgers comes back. Enough talking all this stuff, though. Let's dive into basketball a little bit. We got a 4-game slate, like I said. Hit the like button before we get in. 380 watching, 140 likes. Do us a favor, hit the like, hit the subscribe for us. 4-game slate, how the lock times go. 7 p.m. Eastern the first game, 2 games at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then 9 p.m. Eastern games. And we do have a decent amount of questionable news or questionable tags on this slate. So we're going to get right into the first game, but I don't think it's a game you really should go overboard on. I think fading it makes sense. Playing one play makes sense. It's the New York Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers, lowest total on the slate at 203. Cleveland's favored by 6. We go to the injury report. We are waiting on Kemba Walker news. He is questionable. And then Mitchell Robinson's also questionable. You go to the Cleveland side, Lauri Markkanen out, Jarrett Allen questionable, Rondo questionable. So we do have some news in this game. If Jarrett Allen's out, Mobley, I think, becomes a better play than he is now. I think FanDuel, he already makes some sense. As far as the Knicks side, like, I don't know, you can play a Julius Randle and stuff, but we're waiting on news that can change the slate and make some teams a lot better. So I'll go to you first, man, going, is this a stay away, wait for news? Are you playing some plays? How are you approaching this first game?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting slate because there's tons of news that can happen later on and you don't know which way it's going to fall. So you have to be ready for it no matter what. I think looking at different scenarios based on the way that you set up your lineups makes a ton of sense. Obviously, we'll have this early news soon, and we got some guys that are going to possibly be out. It just kind of depends. Jarrett Allen is one of them on the list. That's questionable. On the Knicks side, Kemba is a big one. Rondo is another thing that, like, if Rondo plays, that could hurt Garland a little bit, not a ton, but Garland has really commanded a huge usage and shown a huge ceiling since Rondo has been out. So that's definitely worth mentioning there. But I do think overall, this is a spot where we are going to consider some guys like a Dean Wade starting at 3K. He could be worth it to be able to help make things work throughout your lineup. You also don't know what's going to come later on. I don't want to like jump around to those later games, but there are some like really good big men options. I think this is a slate where center is going to be pretty deep, where I'm not going to be looking at some of these center options here. If I do play in Evan Mobley is going to go in the power forward spot. He's not going in the center spot. I don't think I'll end up getting there. I do think Julius Randle is an interesting power forward option as well at 9.7K. It just depends. Do you want to allocate some of your salary early on? I just don't know if I want to like lock myself into some guys that are expensive in this early game. I feel better about staying away from this game for the most part, but I need the news, right? That can easily change something. If we get news that Allen's out, if we get news that Kemba's out, well, Emmanuel quickly at 4.4K is going to be really interesting. And of course, because it's going to be a slate where there's going to be a lot of late swapping possibly and news coming, you need to make a decision. Am I putting Emmanuel quickly at the point guard position or the shooting guard position? That's a conversation you better be having about 10 minutes before lock if you're going to put him in your teams. Make sure he's in the right spot. Look around and just move stuff to see what could be best. Let's say later on there's someone that you're looking to get. Maybe he's only shooting guard eligible. Then don't put quickly in the shooting guard spot because maybe you want to change that later for someone else. I think there's a lot of different things that can happen on this slate, and I don't think you need to lock into too many guys here unless the news hits right. Like I said, if Kemba's out, that's going to be really big for these guards. I think Emmanuel quickly would be the first guy I go to. I don't know if I'll gamble on an Evan Fournier on this slate. It just feels like too much of a gamble for me. And then the Cavs side, I really need to know some of this Jarrett Allen news, and I don't mind a Dean Wade, as terrible as he is, but he's 3K, and there's a big difference in being 3K and being like 4K. BigT talks about this a lot. 4K guys, like, yeah, sure, they can bust too, but like, if your guy's like 5K or 4.8, like if they get like a 15 or like a 12, that really hurts you. Like a 10 or 12 from Dean Wade is not the end of the world. Even like you can survive the other day. Yesterday, I played DeMarcus Cousins at the center position at 3K. He got me 10.5 fantasy points. I cashed GPPs. Of course, if Cousins goes off for a bigger game, I probably have a chance to have a really nice finish. But those 3K guys can't destroy you completely. And I think that's one key thing with Dean Wade in this first game, which makes him maybe my favorite option in this game.
I'm so confused. So before you were talking, K Fleek Burner in chat goes, I couldn't imagine playing D Wade on the slates. This guy goes, Dean Wade blows. People are chirping Dean Wade, and then you bring him up, man. Going, I don't even know how people were talking about him at first, but
I mean, I don't understand why they're talking like, dude, he's 3K. It could be Mike Pettit, and you're playing 38 minutes, and like, who? I might roster. You could jump around there. You'll get some exercise.
I think I'd take myself over Dean Wade. I mean, I agree with everything. My boys just said, except the Dean Wade conversation. Like we got other cheap dudes. I think, and we could get more. Like we got Garrett Temple, who's like dirt cheap that we can play. Alexander Walker.
I'm just laughing how he literally called out the guy that Mangone somehow was about to say. I don't even know why he said Dean Wade. There was no conversation of him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for playing a 3K guy that's going to get a ton of minutes, and like if he busts, like that's fine because you can still get other things. The other problem on the slate is like we don't have the guys to spend. Like we don't have these big superstars to jam into our lineups tonight. So that's why I'd like be a little bit hesitant to take those risks. But I think we have some pretty good value that we will talk about. But I get it. Like if he makes everything work for your lineup, I would not change shit around. Like I'm good with it. But overall, like this game, you can't get high on because I just don't think we're going to have the news at 7 p.m. Eastern to make the right lineup decisions. I mean, Evan Mobley on FanDuel, I think is a fine play regardless at 6.9K, and he could become an even better play if Jared Allen is ruled out. Maybe Kevin Love comes into the conversation a little bit if Jared Allen's ruled out. So that's the one piece of news in this first game that could kind of change things around. Darius Garland, I don't know, like we don't have the spends, like maybe Darius Garland. The Knicks, I'm not super high on. I mean, if Walker's out, maybe a little bit, but I'd have a hard time playing many guys from this game without some of the later news, like Zach Levine, if he's playing or not. I think he does actually play today, but we'll see. If we don't have that news, it's hard. The Pelican starters, like who's in for them? And then the Jazz situation. I mean, they've already ruled out Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, but then they listed Ingles, Bogdanovich, and Royce O'Neal as questionable. So that's like massive news that we need to wait for. And there's another cheap guy that we can potentially play in that game, Trent Forrest at 3K and 3.5K on FanDuel. So I guess overall for me, really hard to go heavy on this first game. Now, I will say most of these guys will probably be lower owned because everyone's going to kind of have that mindset. If I wasn't going to go anywhere, probably more like FanDuel type plays. Julius Randle, 8.6K, better play on FanDuel than DK. RJ Barrett, been playing a lot of him. 6.4 on FanDuel, like 7.3 on DK. And then you guys talked about quickly, probably more of like a tournament type option, but it's going to be hard to go overboard here. Really need some of this news to make the proper decisions.
And one last thing to call out too, power forward's not that good today, right? Like if you look at the position, it's not great. And like I heard someone talk about like Butler over a Wade, like, well, the guard position is way more valuable than the forward position, right? So sometimes when you full on punt a spot, it helps you get everything throughout your lineups. One thing on the reverse side is maybe we should like Julius Randle a little bit more at 9.7K. The problem is, do we want to lock ourselves into him? That's my one concern. I think, and this is in like a future game, but DeMar DeRozan is going to be someone that I look at a lot at the power forward position, just because if we need a spend up, I'd rather spend up at power forward or spend all the way down, not as much live in that mid-tier range. I'm thinking that's kind of my like lean right now. So at the end of the day, you're going to have to play three forwards on this slate. You're going to have to play power forward, small forwards. And like the best position today is guard and it's center. And you want to play two centers today. You're definitely looking at playing two centers, I think, based on the way that this news is going to drop.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of good points. The more pieces you have in this game, the more unique and different you're going to be from the field, since waiting for injury news is most likely optimal in a lot of situations, since there is injury news on multiple different teams that can change things with big names on this slate. So Mangone, Joseph said Mangone gives great in-depth breakdowns every show. I second that, Joseph. Got to have some fun with Mangone, but yes, he does very well. Before we get in the next game, 440 watch and 163 likes. Hit the like, hit the subscribe for us. I'm starting to think now that I said that about Dean Wade, it always works out that way where he's confirmed for a 30 piece right now. So Mangone in your tournament, if the last piece, it has to be, right? Like
I'll say this, it helps if Jared Allen's out. Like
he's
not out, it hurts the rebounding because that's like what's big for him is like his rebounding. Like that's where he gets that. But and I get it. There's always the guy that's like, well, you can play Cameron Johnson at power forward. And it's like, yeah, or I mean, what if you're playing 150 lineups? Like you do have to diversify a little bit. You just can't go all in on one guy. So a salary saver. I never get too mad about like a 3K punt, which Garrett Temple's there at 3-1. We'll talk about as well. And we got tons of news that's going to break too, which hopefully we get some of it on this show, but I don't know if you want all of it on the show as well, because this is one more thing to mention. When you don't get this news after 7, right? Guys lock into Dean Wade early on, right? Or someone else, they lock into a Julius Randle, and then they don't have the ability to grab some other options. So maybe you want some news now, but not all of it, because that later news could really bounce your way and give you a chance to have a huge edge on this slate.
Yeah, the later the news, always the better. We're in Discord breaking it down. We're talking about it. The Up to Lock show talks about it. The later the news breaks is what we want, because we prepare for stuff like this. The first game, You can't go wrong fading it completely. The more pieces, the more different you'll be. But there's news that we got to get to. This game, Chicago Bulls, Oklahoma City Thunder, the second game on the slate. Locks at 8 p.m. Eastern, so an hour after the first game. 217 total. The Bulls are favored by 1.5. On the injury report, like we're talking, Lonzo, Caruso, Derek Jones Jr. are all out. Levine, Vucevic, and Javonte Green are questionable. Levine and Vuce questionable with Lonzo out is definitely really big. On the OKC side, they're healthy. Derek Favors is out. That doesn't mean much. Hoop, I'll go to you. Talk about this Bulls side, what it's going to do if one of them are out, both of them are out, and then talk about OKC.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing in this game, from a betting perspective, just kind of surprised by this line. The Bulls only favored by like 2 and 1.5. I mean, I'm pretty transparent about the bets I make. I mean, I put a pretty substantial bet on the Bulls today. I mean, I don't know, just they're a better team. I mean, the Thunder suck. I think Levine comes back today, and even if Vooch is out, you still have Levine and DeRozan against the Thunder, and I think that's enough to get it done. Kobe White, I think, is a solid play. I mean, I don't think there's that much of a downgrade between Kobe White and Lonzo, so I like the Bulls as a bet today. You can just bet them to win, or minus the 2 or 1.5. If they can't beat the Thunder, I know they got smoked by the Magic last night. So, some of the guys didn't play a lot of minutes. I think they just bounce back here and beat the hell out of the Thunder. So, in terms of DFS, like Kobe White, I like probably, a little bit more on FanDuel, but Zach Levine on FanDuel, 7.1K. If he's in, even if he plays like 30 minutes, that's a really good price tag for him. I agree with the DeRozan call, definitely on DeRozan. Now, all these guys would get a big, big boost if Vooch is out. We kind of talked about this game's an hour after lock. I don't know if we're going to have that news yet. So, Vooch out and like Levine, DeRozan, and White all play. Big boost for all three of those guys. I want exposure to all of them in MME formats. Levine more so on FanDuel, like the 7-1 price tag is really, really good for him. This Tyler Cook, if he were to start 25, 27 minutes, really hasn't done shit. But if Vooch is out, he's going to have the opportunity to do more. So really kind of need the news. All these guys are all pretty good plays as I see it. They'd get massive boosts if Vooch is out. Then on the OKC side, kind of at full strength with the exception of who's out. Yeah, Derek Favors. Yeah, but everything else are kind of at full strength. I'm not on FanDuel. SGA is 10-2. I'm not paying 10-2 for SGA. It's like 9K on DK. I think, more in play there. I mean, if Vegas is right and this is a close game, I imagine he's able to get there and pay off the 9K price tag. Giddey on FanDuel, 6K. Real nice price tag for Giddey, 7-3. Okay as like a last guy in type thing. Haven't really been playing the bigs for the Thunder, and that's going to continue. Lou Dort probably play a lot in this game, but his production from a fantasy standpoint has been like non-existent lately. And the price isn't all that great. So really the plays for me, I like White, Levine on FanDuel, DeRozan on both sites. All those guys would get a massive boost if Vooch is out. And then on the Thunder side, SGA on DK, Josh Giddey on FanDuel. And that's kind of where I stand here. And I like the Bulls as a bet.
I don't think you can get a better breakdown than that. I have nothing to add, Mangone. Good luck. I think I agree with everything Hoop said, but what is your lean in this game? Who do you have interest in? DraftKings, FanDuel, talk about it.
Oh, Title, you know me. I can say something. I'll find
All right.
I'll find something to say here. So this is one thing I'll say. Zach Levine on FanDuel, what do we do with him? Because he's clearly mispriced, but are people going to play him? Because if they are going to play him, first time back from an injury, there's a lot of unknowns there of what can happen. Could there be some kind of minutes limit that you're not expecting? Could there be a re-aggravation? Who knows what can happen always first game back? They're also playing the OKC Thunder. Like, who's the first guy off the court probably? Well, it's probably Zach Levine. So if you think guard is deep enough, which I think guard is deep enough today, I think on FanDuel in tournaments, Zach Levine is a really interesting fade, especially when you can fade it for, well, Karis LeVert, who is questionable for this game at 7.9K. But if he plays, well, Karis LeVert at 7.9 becomes one of the best plays on the FanDuel slate, you would assume. So I think that fading Zach Levine over on FanDuel is a really interesting idea in tournaments. I get it in cash games if you want to lock into him, but I do think guard is deep enough where you don't have to. There's a bunch of guys that you can play. There's a lot of flexibility over there with the guards and small forwards. So just mix and match it the way that you want. But I think you can get away with the Zach Levine fade over there. You can go to a Vucevic today. He will be low owned at 9.5K, and the Thunder are a team that you can attack with big men. So if you think this game is going to be close, Vucevic gets his full run, he could be on the winning lineup. It's certainly possible, but center is just so loaded today, and there's other guys for cheaper that I'd rather go to. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is someone that I think at 9K, I mean, who talked about there's not a lot of guys that you want to pay for, and like, I know a lot of people aren't running to the window to play Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 9K, but he's been great. He's been driving to the hoop a ton. I think he's a really good tournament play that's going to be low owned on a 4-game slate. So I don't hate mixing and matching him in your tournament lineups. If you need like one of those, let's say you have a lot of value plays and you feel like you're eating a lot of chalk, I don't think SGA is a bad play at the top in tournaments because of the ceiling that he has shown as of late. So that's kind of my full-on breakdown on it. Don't go too crazy on this game. These next 2 games are the more important ones. And also, we're going to maybe have enough news by then to be able to make those decisions because this one starts an hour after that Knicks and Cavs game. And Hoop says this a ton during shows. Like that hour might be really worth it. So let's say you're playing like 3 lineups. Maybe you play like a couple guys in the first game, and maybe one of the teams you just backload it completely because having that full flexibility could be really worth it on this slate.
Yeah, for sure. That you have to go into this slate with the plan. Since the first game is the worst game, which is good for us if you do want to wait for the news, but you have to have a plan. And if you want to just stack a game, that's going to be low owned, you also can do that. So I think it's a pretty good 4-game slate. I do like what you said about Shai though. 9K on DraftKings, 10-2 on FanDuel. No chance I can get there. But 9K on DK, he's had a usage above 30 in 6 of his last 7 games. And that one other game, he had a usage of 28. Like he's so much more aggressive than he ever has been. The minutes are going to be there. And like Hoop said, Vegas, I mean, they're going to keep it close. It's got to be SGA. So I think
that's
SGA
the key. If you believe Vegas that this game stays close, SGA is a great play at 9K. And, if this game stays close, it's going to be because of what he does on the offensive end. So, I do like him as well.
And I like SGA pairing him with DeMar DeRozan because, the game stays close. Like, power forward's not the greatest. So I kind of like that pairing a bit. And also with SGA, like, his drives to the hoop have been up. And, think about him. He was a very young, touted player, and he has been playing with just garbage for so long. And this OKC team isn't amazing right now, but at least there's consistency and some now you have Giddey here, you have Dort. So you have some better players there, along with consistency of lineups and rotations, where I think that's helping him a ton.
Yeah, no, I think SGA, and I like the decision to pair him too. How I approach some of these slates is, if I know a star is going to be low owned, I just like playing someone on the other side that is either good point per dollar or a star, because you get 2 stars going back and forth. We saw Luka and DeJounte 2 weeks ago, I believe, on a Monday show where they just broke the slate, those 2, and they're both under 10%. It's a shorter slate, but pairing stars and having them go back and forth is a way to approach NBA DFS, and you can always lock box overtime, and then you're really running good. So always strategy, thinking about that. Next game, we got 4 games on the slate. Going to dive into the third one. 500 over 500 watching, 200 likes. I'll say what? I'll say 250. I'll be nice today. It's a Monday, 250. Just need half the people to hit the like button. We appreciate it.
Solid start. Nice start to the day, honestly. I mean, I wasn't expecting 2 bills already. That's a solid start for the people. Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's why I didn't even ask for too much more. They're doing the job. We appreciate it for sure. Next game, Indiana Pacers, New Orleans Pelicans. Pelicans are favored by 3.5. We have a 216 total. Big news in this game too. On the Pelican side, Brandon Ingram out, Devontae Graham questionable. On the Pacers side, Turner, Brogdon, Sabonis all out. Karis LeVert is questionable. That's big news. I mean, I think it was Mangone you were saying, if Karis LeVert plays, he's a very good play there without Sabonis. Brogdon, he's going to have to be a lot of the team. And as far as the Pelican side, their best player Ingram's out. Devontae Graham, a key ball handler. If he's ruled out, you even get more bumps. But I think Herb Jones, Garrett Temple, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jovel. I think even if Devontae Graham plays, I think he's a good play. This side, the Pelican side's really good. I think the Indiana side cannot be ignored either. Hoop, I'll go to you. Talk about both sides.
Yeah, so the Pelican side, without Ingram, we have a lot of really good plays, and they're all, just underpriced for the situation without Brandon Ingram. Valanciunas, really good play on both sides. 7.5 on FanDuel's elite price tag. 8.3 on DK is a totally fine price tag. Herb Jones, I mean, this guy's going to play a ton of minutes. He's been pretty productive as well. I mean, 32, 34, 37 minutes in the last 3 out of his last 4 games. mid-20s floor, it seems like, in terms of fantasy production. I really like Herb Jones. Yeah. I really like him. Josh Hart's been our guy for a while, continues to crush. Again, better play on FanDuel. He's 6'5". I don't even hate the 7'4" on DK. I got Garrett Temple, 3.1K, assuming he starts, which he most likely will. This is a guy that fits fantasy lineups perfectly today. A guy that will probably play 30 minutes. He's a scorer. He just always seems, I don't know, eye test type thing, but he always seems to just get it done in these situations. So I like Garrett Temple, assuming he starts. I want to see a starting lineup. I assume he's in there though. And then Devontae Graham's a big question mark. If he plays, really, really strong play. He's only 5'2" on FanDuel. He's 5'6" on DK. He'd be a phenomenal play. Now, if he's out, all those previous guys get a big bump, and then Alexander Walker probably becomes like a really good play too. So you're looking at a lot of options here on the Pelicans side. We already have, 4 or 5 guys that are really good plays. If Graham's out, all those other dudes become even better plays. If he's in, Graham's an elite play. Kind of hope LeVert does play. I don't think a lot of people will be going to him because of the price tag, and I'll be making sure to get way over the field on LeVert. It's like a perfect situation where you're going to be heavy on the Pelicans. Like the way lineups go today, you're going to need to play probably 2 or 3 Pelicans guys. If I can play a guy like LeVert on the other side, I'm going to love that. So I hope he's in. If he is out, that's where it gets kind of dicey. The problem with this team is like you have Goga, but man, center is actually super loaded tonight. I don't think I can go there. I don't want to play Torrey Craig. I don't want to play Holiday. They got Duarte up to 6'4". Jeremy Lamb, who the hell knows what you're going to get? He played 28 minutes. Yeah, so if he's out, then Jeremy Lamb would be a good play, I think. What is he, 4K? Yeah. He'd probably be my favorite play on the Pacer side. I'm hoping LeVert's in, but this is what makes the slate here so dynamic, and this is what makes it very hard to load up early because there's some slate changing news that we're waiting on in this game. So, then maybe not full fading, but like Mangone said, if you're doing like 3 lineups, just maybe a couple pieces in that first game, you do not want to screw yourself and go overboard in that first game, because this news that we're waiting on here and in the next game is slate changing news.
Yeah, 4-game slate. It's not often. I mean, I guess lately it has been. Health and safety is kind of on the back end, it seems. But these injuries, we don't get slates like this with so many teams impacted. Well, who knows if we'll get this Utah news, because that locks an hour after these 2 games lock. But there's a possibility we do, and there's some pretty big news there too. So we keep saying it, but the first game is really tough to load up on. Mangone, I'll go to you. Talk about, I'll say rank your favorite Pelicans pieces, since there are a lot of good ones. And then if LeVert is out, who gets the biggest bumps? I agree with Hoop. I think it's Lamb, probably Torrey Craig, but who gets the biggest bumps in your mind?
Yeah, I think Duarte gets a nice bump, and I think people are very uncomfortable with the 6.4K price tag. But we're talking in the chat right now, we're talking about Booker, and I know it's in the next game, and Hoop kind of alluded to it before. You don't have LeBron James to pay for it today. So not to say salary is not a thing today, but it might not be as important. Maybe just when you get one value play in there, like a Dean Wade title, you can just get whatever now, right? I'm not sure, but I do think Duarte's 6.4K price would be really uncomfortable for people that if LeVert sat, you can still play him. He could still have a massive ceiling game at that price tag in a matchup against the Pelicans. Caris LeVert, though, I absolutely love. I want to save the opportunity to grab him because I don't think other people are going to do that. And I think it's a really good idea. Not scared of this Pelicans team defensively. I do think those are the main guys to look at. Goga, the issue with him on this slate is he is 6.2K and he's solid, but centers, there are some good plays, right? And the one center is on the other side, Valanciunas at 8.3K, which the Pacers are horrible at rebounding without Miles Turner and Sabonis. This is a team that you can take advantage of on the boards. I expect Valanciunas to take advantage of him on the boards. I expect Josh Hart to also have a pretty nice rebounding game. You could see a double-double out of Josh Hart today at 7.4K. I still think he's a really good play. Herb Jones at 4.7, I don't mind. I think he's a solid option. He's pretty good when you take Brandon Ingram out of the lineup. So I think those are maybe my top 3 guys. I don't hate Garrett Temple, but there are routes where Garrett Temple isn't like the greatest. It just depends if the shot is falling. This is a great matchup though, which is nice against the Pacers. And that salary of 3.1K could be really good at that small forward position. We talked about it before though. Cam Johnson is someone I'm probably going to slide in at the small forward. But if you need the value
he's shooting guard too, which is big on DraftKings.
Okay, yeah, that's nice too. Yeah, because also the guard eligibility too, because you can slide him in so many different spots, and likely the utility is taken up by another center, I think. But maybe it's Goga, maybe it's Valanciunas, maybe it's Whiteside or McGee. I mean, there's just so many of these centers that we're like used to playing that are really good options, and they are a bit priced up. But I think that you do still want to be putting 2 centers in your lineup for the most part today. In tournaments, you can always make the argument to change that up. But ranking wise, I think Valanciunas no doubt is my favorite in this game if I have to pick one guy. I think that Josh Hart is a really good option at 7-4. Herb Jones, I like at that power forward spot specifically. I would not put him in at the center position at all. And man, Devontae Graham at 5'6", he's a guy that's like kind of getting like, he's popping in some lineups, and I know it's the Pacers matchup, but when does Devontae Graham ever work? Like, I just don't know if I want to do the Devontae Graham thing today on this slate.
Yeah, it makes sense. I feel like he's been better as of late. I don't know. I'd have to pull up. Let me pull it up quick.
He's been a little better, but you don't love the ceiling. Like, and you can always argue Nicky Alexander Walker could steal it.
Yeah, I guess it was more so a couple weeks ago. He had 37, 32, 33. Yeah. So I was thinking maybe a couple weeks. I understand what you're saying for sure. He'll be questionable. Yeah, if he's out and all. I mean, this is a really good game. So if you look at the 4 games, we obviously have the first game that locks early and only a 203 total, which isn't very appealing. Then the last game on the slate, 9 p.m. Eastern, Utah and Phoenix, we're about to get to, but it has a spread of 11 for Phoenix. Obviously, there is injuries. We prioritize injuries and stuff and like playing time prices more than the spread. But if Phoenix beat them by 20 or something and we get a lot of backup and blowout run, the 2 close spread games, -1.5 Chicago and then -3.5 in this one. So the 2 middle games are the ones expected to stay close and competitive, which is interesting if you want to just jam in these 2. But last game on the slate, we've been talking about it. You guys already hit the 250 likes. And I set the number a little low, but we appreciate it. Hit the like button if you haven't. We do appreciate it. Utah Jazz, Phoenix Suns, 221.5 total. Phoenix is favored by 11. Go to the injury report on Utah. Donovan Mitchell, Gobert, Mike Conley, all out. Hassan Whiteside is probable. But then, yeah, Royce O'Neal, Joe Ingles, and Bogdanovic all questionable. So that's Mitchell, Gobert. If Ingles, Royce O'Neal, Bogdanovic, I don't have any lean on them. I don't really know. But if 2 of the 3 are out, somehow all 3, even 1 of the 3, they are really, really short. So Utah side's interesting. It makes sense why they're a big dog. On the Phoenix side, though, Ayton doubtful, Crowder out, Campaign out. I'm going to go to Yoo-Hoo. That's a lot of bodies on both sides and could be even more bodies on Utah. Talk about what you're going to do if we don't get this Utah, the big 3, we'll say right now, the news before the second and third game. And then if we do get the news, we'll adjust in Discord. But if we don't get it, what's your plan on it?
Yeah, it's that's why this slate's so dynamic, because we have big news at every slate lock. At 7 p.m. Eastern, is Jared Allen in or out? At 8 p.m. Eastern, is Karis LeVert in? Is Vooch in? Is Devontae Graham in? And then at 9 p.m. Eastern, what's going on with these Jazz guys? And it would be very interesting. And I think it's an opportunity for us to really make some money here if we don't get that Jazz news prior to these 8 p.m. Eastern games locking, because I wouldn't be shocked. We saw it, what was it, a few weeks ago when all these Utah guys they're already thin and they're all questionable. They just ruled them all out and just said, we'll just do whatever. I wouldn't be shocked. No, and I wouldn't be shocked on the other hand if all these guys played. So it makes it very interesting for lineup construction, because if we don't get this news and you fully backload kind of for this last game and you're banking on playing Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and then all those guys are ruled out, like the likelihood of this game staying close is going way, way down. And you're looking at a game that's probably like a 15 or 16 point spread in favor of the Suns. Now, if you go under the assumption that these guys kind of play, Bogdanovic, Ingles, very strong options tonight. I mean, prices vary site to site, but they're going to have to do absolutely everything in the spot. Jordan Clarkson is the one guy who I think we can safely say is a really strong play right now. 5.6 on FanDuel, 6.7 on DK. We don't love the 6.7 on DK, but they kind of priced everyone up a little bit on DK, which I do like. On these slates where we don't have a superstar to pay up for. I like when they bump these prices. Everyone's like $1,000 higher than you'd expect on DK. And
Bogdanovich 6'9". Like,
yeah,
wait, when have we ever seen that? I like
exactly.
it.
Yeah. So I like that. It makes it better for building lineups. And you can just see they're all like $1,000 more expensive than they are on FanDuel, and it's a good job on DK's part. Makes it interesting for the slate. So if all those guys are out, I mean, we're going to be looking at like Jared Butler, this Trent Forrest, Pascal. So there's so much going on here with the Utah Jazz. They said Whiteside's in. Strong option. Last time we saw him, he went for 50 fantasy points. He's a guy that can get there without playing a ton of minutes either. So even if this game does turn into blowout and somehow he only plays 26 minutes, he can go off in that short period of time. So he's a strong option, but we really need the news to know who to go to. We can say for sure right now, Jordan Clarkson, really good play. Hassan Whiteside, a fine option, but we have strong center options already. So not like much of a must play. But, if those guys are ruled out, are going to be looking to, this Jared Butler guy for $3K, Trent Forrest for $3K. So we'll have to see on that. And then on the Phoenix side, yeah, they're relatively thin too. Cam Johnson is 3.9K on DK. He's the one guy that's the opposite. On FanDuel, they got him at 5K. Cam Johnson is 3.9, fills a position that we really don't love tonight. Should play about 30 minutes or so tonight, upper 20s at the bare minimum. You have McGee at center. Center is loaded. I don't know how much McGee I get, but you have to look at guys like Chris Paul and Devin Booker tonight because we just don't have the superstars to pay up for. You're looking in terms of guys that we're paying up for, mid 8s and above. You got Chris Paul, you got Booker, you got the Bulls guys, and that's kind of it. So you're going to be forced to look at Chris Paul, Devin Booker. You hope they get enough run in this game to kind of pay off their price tags, but a lot of question marks in this game. And that's what makes this slate very, very interesting from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, this game's really interesting. Who knows if we'll get the news? Utah has been good about it at times, ruling people out more than an hour in advance, but we'll see. News is starting to come in. Kemba is in. Thank you, Colin, Coach Kevin, for saying that. So,
and that makes it easier for us to say, hey, you know what? We don't have the news. Let's just be off the Knicks side. We'll wait on Jared Allen and see what happens there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't say no if someone says I want to play a low-owned Julius Randle. We've seen him break slates. I wouldn't say no to that. But man, if you got 3 people in that game or more, I feel a little uneasy. I think since the next 3, you can get solid pieces in each and every single one of them. So I agree with you. And then I listened to the bet show a little bit before this. Tyler and Spread do a great job. Gary was on today, but I like Tyler's prop. He gave it out for free, so I'll just respond. And I tailed it. Booker over 5.5 rebounds. It was plus money. That's why I like Cam Johnson for his price tag. I think Booker, like you said, CP3, without Ayton, without Crowder, they're going to need a rebound collectively. Booker is aggressive rebounder. Chris Paul can rebound for the position a little bit. Cam Johnson's going to have to play big. So you get more peripheral stats with some of these Suns guys since they're going to have to do more rebounding, crashing the glass. So I like this game for sure. Mangone, I'll go to you. Talk about Suns, talk about Utah. And are we going back to Whiteside since he's busted a lot? We know the upside's there, though. What are you doing with the Whiteside?
Yeah, I like Whiteside at 6'3". He definitely has the upside there at the price. But 6'3" still is a lot, right? There's still bust potential there. Yes, there is upside. He can get 50, but there's downside as well. He could easily come in with an 18 fantasy point game today, and you just would not be surprised. I do want to talk about Jared Butler. I saw some chatter about him in the chat, could it be Trent Forrest? My problem on this slate is I don't know if I want to go there. I don't know if I want to take up a guard spot with a guy like a Butler or a Forrest. I think
saying Dean Wade over Butler and Forrest. Is that what you're saying?
I would play Wade at the power forward spot over Butler or Forrest for sure, because I like to spend up guards at this time more than the forwards. You could make an argument if you rather just have DeMar DeRozan and let's say Vucevic got ruled out. DeMar DeRozan becomes a really plug and play guy at the power forward position. But also, if that's the case, he could just come in as being 70% owned on a 4-game slate or 80% owned because of how bad the position is. So it's definitely something to think about. I just think guard is valuable today. So this is what I did, Title. I plugged in Temple, I plugged in Cam Johnson, and I plugged in Butler. And that gives me $8,000 of salary for my last, 5 spots. That's just absurd on this slate. Like, you don't need that. There's a lot of really good plays too, based on some of the news, where I don't think like building that setup is right anyways. So there's a lot of good mid-tier guys that we're going to have based on the news. So I don't think I want to go to a guy like him. You can obviously play him over like a Temple if you'd like, but I prefer a Temple instead. So I just don't see myself going that route, at least right now. I think these like Bogdanovich at 6'9", he's a great play in this spot if he plays. So I think I would definitely be looking at him. Don't mind looking at like the Rudy Gays, the Royce O'Neals, even a Jordan Clarkson. We know Jordan Clarkson, though, he can have downside, kind of like Whiteside. Just depends if the ball is going to the basket. So I'm a little torn on what to do with him. This Phoenix Suns side, though, is really interesting because what are people going to do with Biyombo? I think people are going to play him, and like, I'm not going to chase Biyombo. There's so many other centers on this slate that I can play instead. I don't think I'm going to go to Biyombo today. I also would not be surprised if the Utah Jazz went to small ball lineups at times with Rudy Gay at the 5 or Royce O'Neal at the 5. And then you saw them slide Cam Johnson over to the 5. Maybe they put Bridges at the 4 and they bring in like a Landry Shamet or someone else. That could be the closeout team for sure. I don't think they for sure do that though. But if Utah does it and then they're struggling, the Suns, then they might counter back with it. So that's something that could happen throughout the game that I'm definitely thinking about, of ways that guys can fail or get there, which is ways that Cam Johnson can get there. And I think Cam Johnson is a really strong chalk option on this slate, something that I definitely want to get a lot of exposure to. I think Mikal Bridges gets a little overlooked at that price. I haven't played him much this year. I don't think a lot of people have. And I think he could definitely be in a pretty good spot here. So I don't mind him in tournaments in that mid-tier range. And then I think a lot of people are going to play Devin Booker because I think you're going to have a bunch of salary spend up for guys. And I think people are going to consider him as one of the better spend ups. That could make Chris Paul go like, I don't know, maybe like Booker is like 60% owned and then Chris Paul's like 25%. And at that ownership discrepancy in tournaments, I think that's really interesting to go like a Chris Paul over a Devin Booker. If you want like a differentiation guy, if you want to fade a Devin Booker, but it's tough to fade him. I think he's one of the better raw point plays on this slate. And there is an $800 difference. Mess around with your salary at times, right? When you mess with that salary title, like, I don't know, $800 can go a long way sometimes. Maybe it upgrades you from Dean Wade to something you really like. And then you can just, get him into your lineups instead of Dean Wade.
No, I think you made a lot of good points. Playing Paul over Booker, I think does make some sense. You wouldn't be surprised. You get the ownership leverage a little bit. I think your point about the Utah maybe going small, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Against the Cavs, one of the biggest teams in the league, they started Royce O'Neal at the 5. Granted, they didn't really have a lot of options, but they just played zone. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them mix in zone in this game so they can run a smaller ball lineup. If Whiteside and Azubuike split 48 center minutes, I actually would be a little surprised. As far as the Suns, the Bismack, like, man, now that the price is up there at 5.3, I don't know. I don't think it's a bad play, but I'm with you. I probably don't get there in tournaments for sure. But that was all 4 games. First game, you can feel pretty good about crossing it off if you want. The next 3 games are interesting. All have injury news. Discord is going to be very important tonight. The Up to Lock shows some news is going to start coming in. So make sure you check that out. If you're not a member, I don't know what you're doing. But if you join, make sure you get in the Discord. It's definitely a big part, man. Going or captain, we'll get you in there. But 543 watching, 274 likes, easily over 250. If we could get out here 300, that would be really cool. But it's about time for the plays of the day. You guys already smashed what we wanted. I'm going to go to myself first because I don't want to take him, and I've known that I've wanted it for a little bit. I'm going with my boy SGA at 9K as a spend up. I just don't think people are going to play him. Randall's another one. If you have a lean on Randall, I saw some people in chat talking about it. Sure, play a Julius Randle. Mine is SGA. I think playing a stud that just people aren't going to play makes a lot of sense on this slate. I mean, all these guys are hoopers. If you tell me SGA is 10% and Booker's 50%, just give me SGA in that every time, and then you can eat some other chalk, Cam Johnson, etc. So SGA is playing good basketball. I like that game. I'll probably have some Bulls in my lineup. Give me SGA as a run back on DraftKings. 10-2 on FanDuel. I'm still probably going to stay away for it, but SO play of the day, SGA. Mangone, I'll go to you. What is it? Sweet what, Travis? Someone said it earlier in chat and I forgot. What is it, Mangone?
Sweet Travis. This is JT. JT calls me Sweet
Travis. All right. Yeah, so Sweet Travis play of the day.
Yeah, so let's see. So this is going to kind of be like a combo play because, like, if the one guy doesn't play, well, you need a pivot, right? We're not just going to take a 0. Like the one guy said in chat, you can play Dean Wade. I'll play Abdel Nader and take a 0. I'm not taking a 0, especially at 8.7K. Not taking a 0 for Karis LeVert at 8-7. So we can go for him as the play of the day. Also like him on FanDuel as well. But the pivot, if for some reason it goes wrong, there's two options you can go to. Let's say you got the salary to move stuff around. You can go to a Chris Duarte if you want. And people will be locked out of going to Chris Duarte because maybe they played some guards early on. Maybe they don't get there because it's 6.4K and they want to play these other Jazz guards. But you can also go to like a Chris Paul instead, who I think he's going to be a little bit chalkier, but Booker I think will be more. So I think that's fine. But Karis LeVert's my guy. And then those are like the two pivots that you can go to that I think are really strong plays that if the news hits, I'm going to probably get exposure to both of them either way.
I like it. Karis LeVert, SGA for me. Hoop, cap it off for us. The rich parents called it, or no, not called the day. Let me redo that. That's the gentleman's call.
That works.
Rich parents play of the day. Hoop, who you got?
It's been on a heater, so there's a lot of pressure. I want a Pelicans guy. I'm not going to go with Valanciunas. I mean, that's just too chalky, too popular. But I am going to go with Herb Jones. Herb Jones, rich parents play the day. Should play probably 35 minutes. No Brandon Ingram tonight. He's showing the ability to be very productive with Ingram out. So Herb Jones is going to be the rich parents play of the day.
I like it. A little value for the SGA and LeVert. Herb Jones, big Herb, definitely can hoop. So I like that call. We got William McGuire saying, I am playing Nader, Mango, and you guys are talking. Junior says, K Falik says he's coming in hot for the premium show tonight. Oh, okay, Junior. I like K.
I don't even know, why does K Falik have to announce that? I mean, every one of K Falik's takes is hot, right? Or am I missing something? K Falik doesn't have like a not hot take. Like his takes are always like, oh shit, like what the fuck, right?
I mean, now if he's saying it in Discord, we might get in something special.
I can't. If he's calling a hot take, it's got to be like just like blazing hot.
I'm excited
if his
to find
takes
out.
are hot, man. The charts must be hotter. They must be fresh off the press with some really, really strong takes. So you got to check out the Up to Lock show for sure.
Oh, I'm excited for the Up to Lock show for sure. But that's going to do it for us. 4 games, talk some NFL, talk some crypto, no financial advice, of course. Talked a lot, had some fun. NBA slate, Up to Lock show is going to be very important. Can't leave your computer at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. Eastern, wherever you are today, because after lock, it's going to be important. You're going to have to make adjustments. We'll be in Discord. That's going to do it for us, though. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you guys have a great night. 4 man going, 4 hoop. Simon behind the sticks. I'm Titletown. Good luck, everybody.